veterans. The VA has provided some updated guidance as it pertains to evaluating painful motion of joints. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you what that updated guidance is and drop a few nuggets along the way that you can use next time you file a claim for a joint condition. Make sure you stick around. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dwayne. I got a video for that Kimball, United States Army veteran, retired VA rating specialist, and your VA claim nugget man. Make sure you go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. So today's video, the VA has updated their guidance as it pertains to painful motion of the joints. And you know I love dropping nuggets. So along the way, I'm going to give you some nuggets that you can use next time you file that claim for a joint condition and at your CMP exam. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, this is the update. This is the PDF file, the Word document that I downloaded from the VA's website. Now, this is from March 2026, okay? And it's nothing that's, I would say, is nothing that is critical, okay? Because this information that I'm going to cover today as it pertains to joints, a lot of you vets should already know this. Or if you have someone representing you, you should already had a discussion as it pertains to painful motion. But we're going to go ahead and get into it. Now, in this change, this is not the actual, it's the manual reference, but it's not inside the manual reference. This is the document that shows the actual changes. If you go to the manual reference, which I'll show you here in a minute, it'll just say, it'll give you a change date. Okay. It'll say change date and it'll give you the month, date, and year. Okay. But you won't know what did they change unless you come and look at this document. So what we're looking for are things highlighted in yellow. Okay. So section A, painful motion and functional loss. Topic 1, principles for evaluating painful motion. 2, examples of evaluating painful motion. You need to know what they know. This is where you get the answers to the test. There's not one person on YouTube that has all the answers to the test. Not even me. I've said that before. This is where you find the answers, okay? Now, this is what I was talking about. So if you go to the actual N21-1 reference, it's not going to have September 15th, 2021. It's just going to say March 25th, 2026. That's it. But as you start going through this document, you're not going to know exactly what they updated. This is the document that will show you what they changed, what they updated. Okay. Now, real quick, this is not a change, but something I just want to talk about. And actually, painful joint can be a basis for assignment of a compensable evaluation, even though the specific criteria for a compensable evaluation listed in a diagnostic code criteria for the joint are not met. People, did you all catch these two nuggets that they talked about? Don't worry about it. I'm going to explain to you. 1, compensable means 10%. Non-compensable is 0%. Okay. Then they say diagnostic code. I have a couple of videos on diagnostic codes. In my first book, VA Claim Success, I give examples of diagnostic codes. My second book, the VA Compensation Blueprint, I give examples of diagnostic codes. You need to know what that criteria is because your evidence need to match that so you do not get lowball. Okay. All right. So again, compensable 10%, non-compensable is 0%. So let's just say you file a claim for a back condition. All right. And you go to the CMP exam and you have full range of motion for your forward flexion. You can touch your toes. And the examiner marks the degrees for the forward flexion and all your other movements, extension, left and right, lateral rotation. It comes back. The rater puts all the information in there, the range of motion, and it says 0%. What they fail to realize, people, we're talking about pain. So even though you have full range of motion, if there is objective or subjective evidence of pain, they can grant the compensable evaluation, which is 10%. Okay. I'm going to give you some more nuggets as it pertains to that, but let's keep going. Okay. And this document is not too long, but we're going to scroll down. So again, here's a change that they made. They put a line through what was there previously, and then they highlight in yellow what is there right now. Okay. There's another one. There's another one. Okay. Now we're getting to the nitty gritty. Okay. So it says under 38 CFR 4.59, painful motion, objective evidence of painful motion is not required for an assignment of the minimum compensable evaluation. So what that means is the doctor doesn't have to say you have pain. That's objective coming from the examiner. For assignment of the minimal compensable, which is 10%, evaluation for the musculoskeletal disability. We're talking about joints, right? Lay evidence, okay, that was always there. What did they change? Or subjective reporting of painful motion is sufficient if found credible, okay, under this manual reference. Now, here's the nugget, people. Lay evidence. That's your personal statement. That's what you're claiming. I am claiming a back condition due to complaints and treatment in service. Since service, I've had continued pain, reduced range of motion, and pain on range of motion. That's subjective, people, and you're competent to say so. I'm going to say it again. That's subjective reporting, okay? And you're competent to say that you have painful motion. That's sufficient. So if you go to the exam and you get service connected, the doctor says, yes, it's due, this diagnosis, the back condition is due to service, but they don't mention pain, but you put it in your lay statement, the rater can use that to assign the compensable evaluation, which is 10%. Another nugget, people. Let's keep going. Here, a description by another person detailing observations of a veteran's difficulty walking, standing, sitting, or undertaking other activity. That was always there, but then they added this, or an examiner's opinion that painful motion would be present if repeated use over time or during flare-ups as required in the Mitchell opinion. Now, one thing I want to talk about, a lot of veterans, they go out and they just say, I'm getting a Nexus. I'm getting a Nexus. Where's the DBQ? You can still submit the Nexus because there's evidence. 9 times out of 10, your private examiner is not talking about repeated use over time or during flare-ups. That information is talked about in the DBQ. Okay, so just keep that in mind before you go out and just say, oh, and spend all this money on a Nexus. Think about getting the DBQ done as well. So let's keep going here. They took out all this information here. That's no longer there. More information they took out. So this is something that you can do, especially if you're filing a claim for a joint condition, to give you a better understanding as it pertains to painful motion, okay? I'm just trying to see if there's anything else before we, there we go, before we close it out. Here you go, 38 CFR 4.59. And I would suggest you all go out and look at this 4.59 because it'll talk about, I think, I haven't looked at it recently, but it'll talk about how the examiner measures range of motion, not with the goniometer, but wincing and facial expression to obtain objective evidence of painful motion. Yep, that's what it is. Supports assignment of a 10% evaluation where there is pain for medial tibial stress syndrome. Okay, so they're talking about shin splints. And there's another, I saw another updated guidance on shin splints as well. Okay. So this is more updates. Okay, so you can see everything in yellow, this highlighted in yellow. They added everything in purple here or lavender with the line through it. They took out. Okay, they took out a lot of information here. So here's more information that they added, holding, and they give you these case references, evidence requirements. Okay, part of the disability assessment, the medical evidence must, okay, clearly indicate the exact degree of movement at which pain limits motion in the affected joint. Again, people, you're not going to, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to see this information here in the Nexus statement, but it's in the DBQ. Okay. Also, include findings of at least 3 repetitions of range of motion. Again, think about it, people. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to see that in a Nexus, but it's in the DBQ. Okay. The doctor has to measure that. And here's just some other information as well. So you can go through, I'll let you go through and look at those updates on your own time. Okay. So nothing huge or nothing crazy, but the key takeaway, I think, with the key takeaway is the lay statement, people. The lay statement. I gave you an example of one. I'm claiming a back condition. I'll give you another one. I'm claiming a back condition due to being awarded the parachute badge. I had multiple jumps while I was stationed at Fort Bragg and assigned to the 82nd Airborne. Since service, I have continued to have pain in my back while I was on active duty. Keyword, pain. For whatever joint, pain. All right. So if for some reason you go to that CMP exam and you have full range of motion, but in your lay statement, which is subjective and you're competent, like I stated earlier, the word pain can get you 10% for that particular joint. All right. If the examiner does not list pain in the exam, all right, the rater is supposed to see that in your lay statement and grant the 10%. Here's another nugget, people. How many veterans out there are service connected for the shoulder? And that shoulder is at 10%. And you have a 94% overall evaluation, overall percentage. And you only need 10% to get to 95 to get to that 100. Now, if you have pain in the shoulders, it's 20%. All the other joints are 10%. But the shoulder, if you have pain, either shoulder, is 20%. So, simple increase, people. Write that lay statement. I'm filing a claim for increase in my left shoulder or bilateral shoulder. I now have pain. You go to the exam, they do the range of motion, there's pain, they grant the 10%. That's it. Okay. But if you have the shoulder condition service connected and you're at 20%, they've already given you the amount for pain. But if you're at 10% for the shoulder, simple increase, you got pain, that's 20%. That changed, I want to say maybe 2015, 2017 timeframe somewhere. All right. So hopefully you caught that nugget. If you can't use it, pass it on to the next vet. So with that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and as always, share this video with your fellow veterans. Thank you. Don't be frustrated, get educated.